Hey, everybody, welcome back to Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking with Tim Cakir. Tim, growth consultant, joining us from Barcelona, Spain. I love the power of the internet and all of these booking agencies that book all these great people on Think Business, because I get to meet people all over the world that I may not, have the chance to. So I appreciate you being on the show and talking today about tech and SaaS growth of companies. You work with companies who are in startup and early stages of the tech world and the SaaS world. And I think, when I look at numbers as far as, in April, 4 million people quit their jobs, right? There's a percentage of those that will start their own business. And a startup is never easy, right? A startup is never easy. And so let's kind of start there. What are some of the things that a startup really needs to be thinking about that they don't think about?
Awesome question, John. So what happens most of the time, what I see that, as you said, there's so many more entrepreneurs now. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. I mean, I don't want to say thanks to the pandemic, but obviously a lot of people has realized that they could do better and not stay in a company that they're miserable at. So they start creating their own companies, their own products, their own offerings, their own services. Right. And what I've realized is that usually companies hire me when they're stuck just before that round A because they haven't done the pre-work. What do I mean by that? It's you have an idea and you just go with your idea, right? That's great, right. But you have to prepare all that documentation. It's boring, but you have to prepare your organizational structure. How do you see this company in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? You have to start mapping that out. Yeah. And this starts really with the mission statement, or the just cause, as I call it sometimes, because Simon Sinek called that, and I really love what he said. And from there, going down until the day-to-day execution, what activities do we have to realize to get to that big mission statement?
Yeah. Well, and let's talk about that for a second, because you and I are on the same page when it comes to that. It's like the fundamental things that you need to do to prep yourself, your mindset, and that takes time, right? That doesn't happen overnight. And so as you're getting to the fundamentals, let's talk about, as a business coach, I think sometimes people want to rush through that. And you can't really rush through, because it takes a lot of thinking, and it takes a lot of pause and reflection and marinating it, right? So just talk a little bit about that, if you could.
Yeah, of course. So what happens is that I think it's the second we find product market fit and we get super excited, and obviously we want to make that revenue, which is great. So if you did take a quick pause, the second you find that product market fit, you need to not pause maybe, but 25% of your time, you should be building that mission statement. You should be building that culture, that vision, right? Because that's where those employees are going to keep going with you, right? They're going to believe in that mission statement. If they believe in that, they're going to fight for you. They're going to fight for your company. And as a founder, actually, your job is to hire people, right? And to inspire people. And we forget that. In the beginning, we create a product, we find product market fit, and that's amazing, because that's really the first stage. You want to make sure that your product has some clients, or it's a solution to a problem, right? And after that, as founders, I think that as entrepreneurs, as CEOs, as leaders, the thing is to hire the right people, inspire them every day, and give them some aspirational goals, so that they fight for you. They're in the front, right? And they will take your company to the next level. A lot of CEOs, what I've realized, has still this mindset of micromanagement, right? They can't delegate. They still want to do everything themselves. And then I asked them, I said, so why are you hiring all these people? Right? So that they do what I tell them. Well, that's also wrong, right? Is you give them where to go, right? They have to figure out how to get there. And this is why you get some amazing creative people. This is why we pay some great salaries now in the tech world. And you have to trust them. And I think that's one of the most important things that we have to do in the beginning.
Yeah, trust can be difficult for people, and delegating, and as you're here you are in Barcelona, Spain. You're working with startups, and I think when you're working with startups, I work with solopreneurs to Fortune 100 companies and everything in between. And what I find with the startup people who begin to grow and evolve their company, in the beginning, you can touch everything. But as you grow and you get to 7 employees, for sure, once you hit double digits and you're at 10, you can't touch everything. So you've got to hire, like you said, I agree. You can only hire greats, which takes a lot of time right now. And then you've got to surrender and let go, but put the systems, the processes, and the playbook together and the business plans to make it very specific and measurable so they know what to do. But I think mentally it's hard to think, well, because I hear this a lot. I want your thoughts on it. It's faster for me to do it than to explain it to somebody, right? But short-term pain, long-term gain when it comes to that. So kind of chat on that for a minute, because I think that's a big stuck point for growing startups.
First of all, delegation is very difficult. I do understand. It's your baby, right? You've built that. It was your idea. It's your vision. And you brought that product to the market and you're like, okay, this is mine, right? But what you need to really do is, as you said, when you have those processes, you have to make sure that it's measurable, that you have the KPIs, that the goals are very clear, right? The objectives are very clear. Everybody knows what is expected of them. And there you really have to start. I don't think you have to leave the whole thing completely, but you can have a reporting system, right? You still can give your ideas and you can still give where the priorities and help steer the boat, because it's your boat at the end of the day. But you need to start zooming out a little bit. And as you said, I think this starts about from 10 employees to 15 employees. That's where I think it's very important to be like, okay, you're responsible of that, right? You're responsible of product. You're the head of product. Right, I want to report on Fridays. Right, it doesn't have to be a very rigid report that is difficult to do or something like that. It's just, what do you think? Like I usually like the three P's, right? Plans, problems, and progress. Right. If you do that in an email on Fridays, the head of product, when he leaves on Friday to go with his family, he also feels like, oh, okay, I've done my report. I'm good. I'll come back on Monday. The CEO or the director, the leader, can see that what happened in that week, what is planned for the week after, and where can he help, right? Yeah. And that's where you start gaining time. That leader has to gain time, right? It has to gain time to go for funding. It has to gain time to do these inspirational speeches, especially if you're in a remote world. You have to show up in all hands and you have to be prepared for it. You have to still steer the boat all together, right? You are the captain, but you do have your co-captains. And you have to trust them, because this is why you hire them. If not, don't hire them and do everything yourself. Stay as a solopreneur. You will burn out at one point, and things will get difficult.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Right. You have to forecast that you're going to burn out, no matter how pumped up and excited you are for what's happening in the moment. Absolutely. Let's talk about you, the entrepreneur, for a minute, Tim. Right. So here you are with your own company helping other startup companies. And so I'm a big believer that success is never a straight line. So give us the 1 minute Reader's Digest version of how you got to today, and some level of courage that you had to jump through in order to make it happen.
I mean, it's funny because, I changed a lot of industries to be in music, as you can see behind me. And I tried some business in that field, and then I got into the tech world. I always say that the hairdresser can't cut his own hair, right? He can't do his own haircut. So it's been very difficult for me to grow my own business, but it's been much easier for me to help other CEOs grow their business. But my agency or my consultancy services has grown in the past 5 years. And now I've decided to create a platform, a SaaS platform that actually will help companies really centralize all the information, and, as I call it, to drive growth through their collective intelligence. So this is why I've been creating in my mind for the last 3 years squad1.io, and very soon I will be launching. Right now I'm in early adopter program. I have about 15 companies from my clients testing it, giving me feedback, and we're basically trying to really tap into that collective intelligence in the company so that you can grow together and you can really grow from the intelligence of everybody. You can prioritize things, you can do ideation sessions, and so on. So this is where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk. I want to kind of dive deeper into a little bit more of the startup mind, right? That first 6 to 12 months, right? And you're in the tech industry and the SaaS industry. I'm 49, but when I was 23 in 1995, I started an internet company in my parents' basement with my brother and a buddy of ours. And at that time, the internet was very new, but was growing. What I felt like was every day seemed like dog years, right? It was like every day, every month, everything was growing so quickly, we ultimately, built that business to a pretty substantial business within 2 years, and then sold it to a company. If you're familiar with US Web, at the time was the largest internet professional service firm in the world. But things moved so fast that at the time I was 23, we were working each 100 hours a week, right? I don't have that in me today to do 100 hours a week, although I work a lot. But today I think things are moving even faster, is my point, right? The pace of change. Pre-COVID studies showed that by the year 2030, 85% of the jobs that exist don't exist today. And so we're looking at a decade of being able to adapt and pivot and grow and reinvent. And so from a startup perspective, it's like, how do you start and grow to meet the pace of change that's in front of us?
I think that if you really focus on your customers, their problems, you will automatically innovate, right? Because that problem stays usually a core problem, and then you start finding out other little problems, and that's the features that you build. So I don't believe that is as founders or startups, we have to go so fast, right? We just have to be obsessed about the problem that we're solving, right? As we are obsessed about that problem, automatically things are building, right? We're innovating, we're understanding more about our customer. You have to listen to your customers. The customer is not, I just sold to my customer and that's it. You sold to your customer. How does your customer use that solution? What are other problems that are around that core problem that you've been solving? As we're obsessed about that, really what I've seen is the CEOs who are obsessed with that, every week, every month, they will have new ideas of new features on solving some other little problems, or helping even solve that problem in a easier way, in a more automated way, in a bigger way, right? If we do that, we don't have to be honest, work 100 hours a week. Sorry to say that, but I know that it's a very US thing to overwork, right? Forget about your family and work. And I do have a joke about this that I love. It's a meme that I saw. It's the European out of office email reply, right? It says, hey, I'm camping with my family until September. Please do not bother me, right? And the US out of office reply says, "Hey, I'm in kidney surgery. Call me if it's an emergency," right?
Yeah, will you send me that? That's hilarious.
Yeah, I will do that after.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, and it's and I like what you're saying. And that shift in mindset is something that I think a lot of people need to have. Because it's like, there are industries that the tech and the SaaS, that you can never really fully catch up, right? It's because it's always just the pace of business is so fast. And so, it's important to unplug and as I'm older now, I do coach that. I take that advice with myself and coach other clients with it. So, no, I appreciate you bringing that up. That meme sounds hilarious. I want to see it. Yeah.
If we always play catch up, that means that we're always late to something, right?
Yeah.
But if we go in our own route and we're solving that problem again, and we're obsessed about the problem about the customers, we have our own pace, we have our own journey, right? And other things has to follow us, right?
Yeah.
So I think thinking that way makes you more successful, because you have to be creative as a leader. You have to have that space in your mind, because we are not made just to store information or anything. We're made to create.
Yeah, I love it. All right, you ready for a quick speed round, Tim?
Absolutely.
All right, favorite book and why?
Oh, Atomic Habits, because it's very specific.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that book. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
Track the past, order the present, design the future.
Love it. Say that one more time.
Track the past, order the present, design the future.
I love it. Finish this sentence. One thing every startup needs to do more effectively is?
Create a culture.
One way to get unstuck is?
Processes and operations.
And as a former musician, your favorite rock band or artist is?
Oh, wow. I think it's going to be Paul Kalkbrenner. It's electronic music, European electronic music.
Okay. All right. Love it. Tell people who your ideal clients are, Tim, and how they can connect with you.
My ideal clients are companies who are ready for a round A investment, and that they realize that they need to start automating some things. They have to really clear out the documentation, the processes. They have to find the right tools so that they can start scaling, right? And that's where I help. And they can find me on timcakir.com. That's TIMCAKIR.com. I have a newsletter there as well that I send out on Mondays, where I give free help, tools, anything that I'm thinking of that week.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Tim, I appreciate you being on the show. Thanks for reminding us to slow down so we can speed up. All the best to you and your business. Again, what time is it there in Barcelona, Spain?
It's actually 6:20 p.m.
All right. Yeah. So it's 12:20 p.m. here. So appreciate you. Enjoy meeting people around the globe. Thanks for everything that you're doing to help companies grow. And think community, if Tim can help you, please reach out. Tim, thanks, man. Appreciate your time.
Absolute pleasure, John. Thank you so much.
Thank you.